Hey, Teldyr, can
Okay.
you see this bow on my back?
Yes, I can. It's kind of floating like really, really high though.
Yeah, for some
Well,
reason,
so you were playing your instrument, and that probably messed up the placement of the item that is on your character's back.
yes.
Yeah. So if you cycle through, then it should like if you like make it visible and make it invisible, like do that a couple times, it should fix it.
Um, Trev asked if they can play one song. Oh,
We have just. I guess we should be starting now because it's 1 minute to go. So everyone who wants to come is probably here. So I'll just go ahead and start. If you guys are ready.
yes.
Okay. So we're going to start. And Lumendal will have time for music a bit later, in the maybe after. So I'm really happy to see everyone who is here. And before we recite our stories, I would like to say a few words as an introduction, so that you may get a better idea of what our club is about if you're new here. I would like to start with a quote. Stories are lies, but great stories are truth disguised as lies. We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We do it because we are members of a human race, and the human race is full of passion, as it was said by John Keating from Dead Poets Society. The Inklings were a literary group that included Tolkien and his friends. This was a group of people who really enjoyed reading and writing fantasy. The most famous members were Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings, and C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. These two writers seem to be the nucleus of the group, but they also invited like-minded spirits to join them for these informal meetings. Other members were all either writers sorry, the horse. Other people were either writers or scholars. There were around 20 members in total. And the Inklings existed for about 20 years, from 1930 till 1949. The purpose of this group was to read unfinished tales. They would meet twice a week, either at C.S. Lewis's apartment or in a local pub called Eagle and the Child. Between them, they nicknamed this pub The Bird and the Baby. Incidentally, you can find a pub with that name in the Shire, in Michael Delving. During their meetings, they read their works to each other and discussed them. Tolkien would bring passages from Lord of the Rings to read there. He received a lot of support and help from his friends, who encouraged him to keep writing his work. The name Inklings itself was a pun on the writers. They dabble in ink, but they may only have an inkling of what they begin to write, about when they begin a project. Interestingly, the Inklings didn't come up with their names themselves. They borrowed it from another literary society that existed before them. Tolkien really enjoyed these meetings. In one of his letters, he called them a feast of reason and a flow of soul, which is a very poetical way to put it, and which is exactly what we're trying to recreate with our meetings here. To our meetings we bring stories, mainly those that are set in Middle-earth. And we believe that a story is more than just a combination of words and events, because great stories speak to us on a deep level, which is why we humans have been reciting them from the dawn of time until now. Today we are meeting here in the lovely green fields of the Shire. The metal stage where we are right now was built by Bilbo Baggins. He used the money he had brought back from Erebor to construct this place. He wanted to give other hobbits an opportunity to read poetry to others. Today we are reciting stories, not poetry, but no doubt Bilbo would be proud of us. he would have liked to see his stage put to its proper use. Today we're going to talk about Shire's past, the founding of the Shire, and we will discuss the lives of a few famous hobbits and even of a few famous Shire animals. So let us start the meeting, and since this again my turn, I will go ahead and start with the story of the Shire. "This is not your own Shire," said Gildor to Frodo. "Others dwelt here before the hobbits were, and others will dwell here again when hobbits are no more. The wide world is all about you. You can fence yourselves in, but you cannot fence forever it out. Let us talk about the history of this beautiful land. In the past, Shire belonged to Arnor, the northern kingdom of the Dunedain. At that time you could find royal farms and vineyards here. The Shire also served as hunting grounds of the Dunedain royalty. In yonder Shire you can find the village of Cambridge. In the Elfish tongue it was known as Arasium, the Staglands. Such heroes as Gil-galad and Elendil used to come here for the summer months. These woods were their hunting lands. After the death of Gil-galad, Elf Círdan used his ring to preserve the woodlands of Arasium in the old king's memory. Much later, the hobbits named this place Cambridge. The family of Gamgee are descendants of the first dwellers of that village. Now let me tell you how the hobbits came to live in this land. In the Third Age in Bree there lived two hobbit brothers, Marco and Blanco. They got official permission from King Argilac II of Arthedain to settle in the Shire. Arthedain was one of the smaller Dunedain kingdoms, into which Arnor had split. The two brothers led a group of hobbits westward from Bree. They crossed the Brandywine Bridge, which was then known as the Bridge of Stonebows. Thus, Marco and Blanco founded the Shire. Year 1601 was marked as Year 1 in the Shire calendar. Soon the hobbits of the Shire were joined by Stour hobbits of Dunland. The Dunedain kings required that the hobbits keep the roads and the great bridge in good condition. At first, the hobbits considered themselves subjects of the Arthedain king. Their land was small, centered around Brandywine River and its tributaries, Shireburn and Stockbrook, and there was also a river called Water. This was the Shire proper, or Heathershire. The surrounding lands remained a wild countryside, known as Yondershire. The hobbits selected wardens among themselves. They were called Bounders, and they watched for any danger coming out of wilderness. Marco settled down in the hall of Michael Delving. He was elected mayor. Marco led a comfortable life, and he grew fat. Blanco, on the other hand, still felt the desire for more adventure. As the leader of the Bounders, he was roaming about the wildlands. He journeyed far. Blanco visited the king at Annúminas, the elves at Lindon, and the dwarves of Aradluin. Eventually he settled down and built himself a home in Longcleave. Now let us talk about how Shire grew to be an independent land. All northern kingdoms of the Dunedain eventually fell. So the hobbits were left without a ruler. they established the office of Thane. In their dialect, that meant chief. The first Thane was a hobbit named Buka of the Marish. He ruled the Shire and brought peace and prosperity to this land. Buka was the progenitor of Brandybuck family. Now, a few words need to be said about Buckland. Gorhanhad Old Buck was a hobbit of the Shire. In 2340, he crossed the Brandywine River and constructed Brandy Hall. Gorhandad. He changed his family name from Old Buck to Brandybuck. He ruled over the small independent land. Once Brandybuck family moved to Buckland, the office of Thane passed to the Took family. Isambros Took I became the first Thane of the Tooks. Now let us move on to one of the most prominent Shire families, the Tooks. The Took family was exceedingly wealthy. However, they were more adventurous than other hobbits, and they earned themselves a reputation for unusual behavior. For this reason, they were less respected than more traditional hobbit families. But because of their vast wealth, they were tolerated. According to legend, one of the Took ancestors married a fairy. However, it is not clear what kind of creature this fairy was. The majority of the Tooks lived in the Great Smiles of Tookborough. A branch of the family were the North Tooks. They were the descendants of the legendary hero Benderbras Took. The North Tooks lived in Yorkshire, in Longcleave. Took men usually were given high-sounding names. For example, Benderbras Took, the hero who defeated an orc band, or Gerontius Took, who at the time was considered to be the oldest hobbit. He lived up to 130 years. Took women had names of jewels or flowers. Now let us move on to the Baggins family. The first recorded member was called Balbo Baggins. His descendants mostly lived in or around Hobbiton. Bagginses were considered as the most respectable clans of the Shire. They were very predictable. One could tell what a Baggins would say on any occasion, without even bother of asking them. And not much else can be said about them. Now let us talk about the Shire customs and traditions. The Shire hobbits were largely sheltered from the outside world. They didn't pay much attention to what was going on in the rest of Middle-earth. They called everyone else outsiders. No doubt this seclusion had been caused by the horrific war that had been waged between Dunedain and Angmar. It led to much destruction, and the hobbits also suffered during the Great Plague, a disease that was spread by Sauron. It is understandable why the hobbits chose to cut the outside world out completely. Nonetheless, legends from Middle-earth sometimes found their way into the land. Many of the hobbits heard of the Great Sea far in the west. This thought filled them with awe and curiosity. One hobbit, named Isengard Took, traveled to the sea in his youth. Isengard's nephew was none other than Bilbo Baggins. Little Bilbo used to ask lots of questions about his uncle's journey. Another hobbit who traveled to the sea was Basso Boffin, and he was never seen again. Hobbits did not have legends concerning their origin. It is suggested that they are a miniature variant of men. They must have branched out from men as a race in the elder days, but they don't appear at all in the chronicles of the elves. An important part of the hobbits' culture was collecting maythems. Maythems referred to trinkets of no particular use. So they were passed from one hobbit to another. There were a few items that had passed through the entire neighborhood. Many Maythems were weapons. Weapons and arms were considered useless, as there hadn't been any conflict in the Shire for a long time. By the end of the Third Age, the hobbits became even more secluded than ever. They started to distrust all elfish lore. At the start of the Fourth Age, Aragorn became king. He re-established the Northern Kingdom, and the Shire joined the reunited kingdom. Later it became a free land, a protected enclave inside the kingdom. A royal order forbade the entrance of anyone other than hobbits into the Shire. This is the end of this story.
Well done.
Thank you.
Aw. Flowers are so nice.
Oh, it's in the middle. Oh, thank you. Yeah, they are.
You know, it's interesting. I never really considered, like, what happens to the hobbits after Aragorn became king. Until now.
Well, nothing bad happened to them for a while because they were protected by Aragorn and Gondor and everything. So kind of the Rangers, they got back their kingdom, and I suppose they just continued to protect the hobbits. But what happens after that, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Well, I remember after all of that, I think the hobbits kind of faded. Like, they became scared of humans eventually. But I guess I never thought about, like, what happened immediately following the War of the Ring. Obviously, we know the hobbits came back. So they had to defeat Saruman and everything. But after that, it's interesting that Aragorn, like, protected them. Not surprising, just I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, so in my story it does say that they grew more distrustful of the outer world, and maybe they grew even more distrustful of after the scouring of the Shire, and that's why they eventually stopped trusting like anyone outside and grew more and more secluded, and then they probably grew wilder or something.
Yeah, because in Tolkien lore it's supposed to be like a folklore of our world, and I think in the end he suggested that or insinuated is a better word, that they became distrustful, and so they would run around and like run away from people when they saw people.
Yeah, sounds about right. So they probably weren't big fans of people after the scouring happened, which is, well, pretty sad, obviously, but understandable.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. I will be talking about our favorite pipeweed. Honestly, well, it's my favorite. I have a whole nother character devoted to pipeweed. But without further ado, pipeweed is one of those details in our world that seems small at first, but ends up saying a lot about hobbits and their way of life. Recent stories such as The War of the Ring and Bilbo Baggins' adventure show us hobbits are capable of great courage. But pipeweed reminds us that they are deeply tied to comfort and peace. In a world filled with war, darkness, and ancient powers, something as simple as a pipe becomes a symbol of home. Pipeweed, or Nicotiana, as it is more formally known, is most closely associated with the hobbits of the Shire. It was first widely cultivated in the Shire around the year 1070 of the Shire reckoning. And tradition credits two-bowled hornblower of Longbottom with first growing it for smoking purposes. From there, it quickly became a part of hobbit culture. Over time, different varieties of pipeweed were developed across the Shire. Some of the most well-known include Longbottom leaf, Old Toby, and Southern Star. Among these, Old Toby became especially famous and was considered one of the finest blends ever produced. Yet, pipeweed did not remain only in the Shire for long. Through trade and travel, it spread to Bree and beyond, becoming known throughout the northern regions of Middle-earth. And it was one of the few hobbit exports that reached many different peoples. One of the most famous pipeweed enthusiasts was Gandalf the Grey. He is often seen enjoying his pipe during moments of rest and reflection. And even Saruman, despite his pride and disdain for the hobbit ways, was known to have a fondness for Longbottom leaf. This small detail becomes even more interesting, considering what it reveals about his character later in the story. What makes pipeweed important is not just its history, but what it represents. It often appears in moments of rest between great hardships. It is shared during conversations, journeys, and quiet pauses in the middle of great change. We all know hobbits have a love for storytelling and simple pleasures, and pipeweed fits perfectly into that identity and culture. It represents the ordinary things that are worth protecting in extraordinary times. Food, friendship, laughter, and a quiet evening by the fire are all reflected in that small pouch of leaf. So while pipeweed may seem insignificant compared to the great artifacts of Middle-earth, it carries its own quiet meaning. It reminds us that not all value is found in power or destiny. Sometimes it's found in the small comforts that make a hard world bearable. In the end, pipeweed helps us to slow down and remember what is worth fighting for: the peaceful moments of life among friends and family. And that concludes my little rant, for lack of a better word, about pipeweed.
Well done.
Yes. I think my favorite thing that I learned when I was researching it, ironically, there's not a ton of information on pipeweed aside from it being talked about in, like very light history. But it, like I said, it appeared in important times. Like it appeared after Merry and Pippin defeated Saruman and they sat and smoked pipeweed. It also appeared in the taverns along their different journeys, and also, as I mentioned, Gandalf was very fond of it, and we see him smoking it a lot.
Yeah, well, definitely
It's kind
for
of
Gandalf.
that cozy thing.
Yeah, Gandalf didn't hide his love for pipeweed, and Saruman probably liked it just as much, but he kind of secretly smoked it. Which is kind of funny if you think about it.
Yeah, that's what I thought was funny too, is like Saruman loved it, but he also didn't really like the hobbits. Like he seemed very annoyed by the hobbits.
Yeah,
Maybe that was his reasoning. Go ahead.
He thought he was too cool for the hobbits, probably.
Yes, maybe that's the reason he took over the Shires. He just wanted more pipeweed.
Yeah, probably. Was he was he buying things from the Shire, or did he already take over and start, getting all his pipweed?
I think that it doesn't say exactly, but we know hobbits exported it, so they were like, if I had to assume, they were likely exporting it to Bree or surrounding cities, most likely Bree, and that was probably the hub for it being transported to further lands. Because I would assume they probably sold it to nearby cities who then exported it out to further out cities. So Isengard probably wasn't getting it directly from the Shire.
No,
I don't
he
know
was.
how much Saruman traveled. Oh, he was?
Because there is a quest even in LOTRO that there is a wagon, and a hobbit gets into the wagon, and he kind of finds himself in Isengard. Remember, I told you about it the other a few months ago, I think. So yeah, he was starting to kind of get it from the Shire itself, I think. It is implied. I just don't understand if he was he, I don't know, like stealing it, or like it's an interesting question.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the hobbit transporting the pipeweed was just a LOTRO lore, at least that far out. But I guess it's similar to like other trades we've talked about, like the coffee trade and things like that. It is getting sent pretty far out, so it's hard to probably track exactly like how it's getting sent out.
Well, yeah, I suppose, I mean, if we think about LOTRO, in LOTRO there was a wagon. Like, it's said that kind of all these brigands, they came to the Shire and, well, I suppose they kind of pillaged the farms or something, and they loaded these wagons and they went to Isengard. But I'm not sure if it is canon or if the developers just made it up.
Actually, Teldyr made a really good point in Say Chat. He said it makes sense from a logistics standpoint to have Saruman take over pipeweed production and use the funds for his war. Lumen, I feel like you have experience in real life with this.
Yeah, Teldyr's saying a good point. Like, perhaps he had, even before the scarring of the Shire, he had a few hobbits who sort of kind of helped him to pillage everything. Like, maybe they grew pipeweed for him or something in return for something else.
Well, I mean, like I said, whenever what's his name, Mundo Sackwell Baggins took over, he was in direct communication with Saruman, so it could be that Saruman kind of used him in order to gain access to all the pipeweed. But that's just from what I've seen.
Thanks for that. Okay, thanks for the candle, and it is again my turn. You can present me a story if you'd like.
Next up, we will have Elpitha talking about, I always mess up her name, forgive me, Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Without further ado, take it away, El.
Thank you. Here is Lobelia Sackville Baggins' story. Lobelia Sackville Baggins was born as Lobelia Bracegirdle. She was the only daughter of Primrose Buffin and Blanco Bracegirdle. She had a brother, Bruno Bracegirdle. Lobelia grew up in Hardbottle, in the north of the Shire. Later she became the wife of Otho Sackville Baggins. And they gave birth to a son, named Lotho. Lobelia was infamous for her strong determination to live in Bag End. When Bilbo left on his quest to Erebor, Lobelia invited herself into his home. She stole some of Bilbo's silver spoons, which the owner was aware of. As a joke, Bilbo gifted her his remaining silver spoons before embarking on his second journey. Otho and Lobelia dearly wanted to live in Bag End. They were furious that Frodo got to live there instead, despite being a more distant relative. But in a way, their feelings were justified. Otho was supposed to be Bilbo Baggins's heir. The sequel Bagginses would have inherited Bag End, had it not been for Frodo Baggins. And even though Lobelia is usually portrayed as a villain, I kind of get her point, because Bilbo lived like a millionaire. If I lost the rights to inherit Bag End, just like Lobelia did, I'd be upset too. One day, Frodo departed on his quest, just like Bilbo had in his days. At the age of 100, Lobelia finally moved into Bag End. Her husband had already died by then. About 77 years. That's how much longer Lobelia had to wait before her dream came true. But it would be wrong to say that she lived happily ever after. During the War of the Ring, the Shire was invaded by Saruman's men. Lobelia was imprisoned in Lockholes for arguing with one of them. She even attacked one of them with an umbrella. For the first time, she became popular for bravely standing up to the invaders. She received cheers and applause from other hobbits. However, after being rescued, she was looking old and frail. Lobelia was also crushed to find out her son had been killed while she was in prison. After the Shire was freed, Lobelia gave Bag End to Frodo. She returned to her home village and lived with other Bracegirdles. Before her death, she gave her money to Frodo. She wanted this money to go to the hobbits who had been left homeless by Saruman. This deeply moved Frodo. Lobelia spent her life being a caricature, but in the end she proved herself to be a brave and generous person. And this is the end of story.
Another very well done story. I like that you gave a different perspective on her.
You kind of do, I think, when you look at her motivations and everything. Can't help feeling bad for her.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, she really just went well. It's just because of the influences of everything going on around her, she just got portrayed in a different light.
I kind of think perhaps Tolkien intended to portray her as, like this typical relative one. Well, I think you know the kind of relative I mean, like the kind of relative that shows up when there is some inheritance,
Yeah.
to split, and like relatives starting to fight over it. And I suppose that's what kind of she was supposed to be. But if you kind of really know her story, I think you can see why she was like that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's very typical of the hobbits in general to have that mentality or that, act like that. So I don't think it was like her just being, extra.
Yeah, I also really like Bilbo's humor. I really like how he gifted her the silver spoons.
Yes.
I think it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, Bilbo has always been, I don't want to say like a bit of a trickster, but he, definitely knows how to...
Mischievous.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to subtly get his point across.
Agreed.
Well, we should probably invite Lumendal on stage now, because in a few minutes she will need to play some music for us.
Alright. next. Up next, we will have Lumendal performing for us. So while she gets ready, I will read her set list. First up, we'll have Concerning Hobbits, and then A Knife in the Dark. And last, but certainly not least, Steadfast and Sure. So, as everyone takes their seats, takes a pipeweed break, Lumendal, feel free to get ready. And begin whenever you're ready.
Yeah, Lumendal has like a minute to go, but I gave her 15 minutes, so Lumendal, you have 15 minutes for the 3 songs, and if you finish sooner, we will just use it as like time to make tea or something.
Yes. I'm gonna take a pipeweed break now. I have some if anyone wants any.
I have too much. But thank you.
You can never have enough. Thank you, thank you. Alright. As soon as I get this place down, I will get started. So, small intro. Bull Took was very interesting to me because there's not a lot about him, but he is very important to history. So, here we go. Recent stories, such as The War of the Ring and Bilbo Baggins' adventure, show us that hobbits have a courage that most often overlooked. While all of the hobbits involved were extraordinary, they were far from the first to accomplish great feats. I speak of the hobbit's beloved Bull Took. I'm so sorry. One moment, please.
Yeah, you're all good.
An accomplished hobbit who was possibly the first to show how much courage the hobbit race possesses. Bull came from the Took family, a family line known for adventure, and one of the older hobbit lines. You see, they came from the Fallowhides, so adventure already ran in their blood. And oh, did they live up to it. Most notably, they rose to prominence through the title of Thane, which their line held for every generation. From this line would come hobbits who welcomed nature, such as Bull Bilbo Baggins, and Frodo. Bull was first most notable for his size. It is said he was so large that he could ride a horse, something quite unheard of for a hobbit. This very oddity, along with his strength, earned him the title Bull. Yet, what he is most known for is his moment at the Battle of Greenfields, in the year 2747 of the Third Age. This battle came about when orcs invaded the Greenfields under a chieftain named Glorfindel. The hobbits gathered their strength to protect their homeland under their very own Bull. What happened next became a story that had been passed down for generations. During the battle, Bull struck Glorfindel with a wooden club so hard that the orc's head flew clean off. The head sailed through the air for a considerable distance before landing in a rabbit hole. With a single blow, Bull had killed 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, the hobbits claimed victory, and 2, the game of golf was invented, according to hobbit humor, that is. We all know that hobbits have a penchant for storytelling, and it is this very trait that we often love about them. So it is hard to say if these events played out exactly as they are told. Nonetheless, every story has a kernel of truth, and it led to larger events. The victory at Greenfields was significant, for it marked the last invasion of orcs into the Shire, and brought peace to the Shire for centuries. While other races are known for their fierce battle prowess, hobbits were often seen as needing protection. Bull Took proves quite the opposite. Hobbits are more than capable of taking care of their own. His legacy was not only in story, but continued down the family line to Bilbo Baggins, who we know faced dragons of his own and won. In fact, Bilbo even references his famous ancestor, and the lineage points to Bilbo's adventurous streak. Though this story may seem insignificant to those who are not of the hobbit race, it teaches us some important lessons. First, that strength does not always mean going off on adventures, but can also mean defending what is precious to us. Secondly, that we must not underestimate those around us. As for other meanings, I will let each take what we can from the life of Bull Took. And thus concludes my story. And also something that I did not add is that his first name was Barnabas Took, but he is most affectionately as Bulroar.
Thank you for an amazing story about one of the most beloved Shire heroes.
Of course. I wish we knew more about his life.
Well, I think, yeah, I wish so too. I think he's mentioned in The Hobbit because the dwarves say that Bilbo is just a hobbit and he is of no use, he won't be of any good. And Bilbo replies, like, no, actually, the famous Bulroar is my ancestor.
Yes.
And so I will be of use to you. To which Thorin says, but you're not him. So...
Sindra just... Okay. Sindra just hit a chicken with a golf club.
Yeah. Now I think it is turn.
Yes, it is your turn. Let me introduce you. So up next, we will have Elpitha reading Master Stiffbristle and Lady Uproot, a love story and comedy. So, without further ado, welcome Elle to the stage.
Thank you very much. Alright, here I goes then. Master Stiffbristle and Lady Uproot. Now let me tell you one of the Shire's most epic love stories. This legend has its roots some years back, but not so distant that it has been forgotten or might be disbelieved. Indeed, you can still discover the details of this tale. In order to do that, you need to pay a visit to Shire. In the east farthing of the Shire, there was a prominent town called Butchford. There lived a hobbit who owned a great pig. The pig's name was Master Stiffbristle. He was enormous, just a tremendous example of his species. He had big ears, strong legs, and a pink nose. His owner used to bring him throughout the Shire. Not to sell him or eat him, never that. He merely intended to show off his impressive size. He was called the impressive heath boar of Butchford, and whenever he went, everyone admired him. Not just hobbits took note of Master Stiffbristle. Nay, there was also a beautiful yonder boar who dwelt in Tidefield. She was called Lady Uproot. She learned that there was a famous and impressive boar touring the Shire. Why, no fence could keep her penned in. She broke out of every pen into which she was put, traveling dozens of miles to witness Master Stiffbristle in all his glory. This was quite unusual on its own, but eventually Master Stiffbristle's owner put an end to the tour. Or should I say he tried to? Because then it was Master Stiffbristle's turn to break through every wooden fence that lay between him and his love. To see her, he would travel dozens of miles cross-country. None could keep Master Stiffbristle and Lady Uproot apart. They both escaped all the pens where hobbits had put them, and they went off together into the sunset. In each other's arms or hoofs, they found peace and harmony. And they spent their lives living together in the wild woods of Shire. It is said that they still dwell somewhere within Tidefield. But who can say for sure? And this will be the end of Master Steve Bristle's story.
Well done.
Thank you. Do you know where the story is from?
I do not.
It's from a deed in the Shire, the Explorer deed.
Oh, nice. No, I have not done any of the Shire deeds.
Yeah, we did them with Gato last Sunday, and I saw it, and I decided to include it in the inland.
Yeah, it's really good. So what do you think happened?
Well, I suppose the story is kind of pretty self-explanatory. I suppose they were happy together. This is my favorite love story now. Oh, where I'm going. And we have our next story, don't we?
Yes.
Next one. You can present me if you'd like.
Yeah. Next, we are going to have our lovely Elle presenting again, and this time it will be the story of Sam Gamgee. So, without further ado, here we go.
Okay, 1 second. There
No
we go.
worries.
Right, the story of Sam Gamgee. Samwise was the child of Hamfast Gamgee and Bel Goodchild. His father was the gardener at Bag End, and he was better known as the Gaffer. Sam had 5 siblings: Hamson, Halfred, Daisy, May, and Marigold. The Gamgee family lived at number 3 Bagshot Row, right underneath Bilbo's Bag End. Sam was a friend of the Cotton family. As a child, he used to play in Bywater Pool with Jolly Tom and other children, among whom there was also Rosie Cotton, his future wife. Sam helped his gaffer to tend the garden of Bag End. His grandfather, Hobson Gamgee, and his uncle Andy taught him the art of rope making. Sam also learned a lot from Bilbo Baggins. Bilbo taught him to read and write, and he told him about the elves. Sam learned that the world contained greater wonders than most hobbits were aware of. It became his dearest wish to encounter an elf. He often wandered outside Hobbiton and knew the area 20 miles around. Sam heard rumors about a walking tree and about the passing of the elves. He often contemplated them. Now let us talk about Sam's role in the quest of the Ring-Bearer. Frodo's friend, Mary Brandybuck, organized a group of conspirators. These conspirators were watching over Frodo, who had inherited a mysterious ring. Sam became the chief investigator. He would often eavesdrop on Gandalf and Frodo's conversations. On one day of such eavesdropping, at the mention that Frodo must leave the Shire, Sam choked. Having been caught by Gandalf, Sam became Frodo's first companion on the quest. During the journey, Sam proved to be a steadfast and loyal companion. He was brave enough and sturdy enough to bear all the deprivations of their arduous journey. He was also brave enough to encounter Sauron's servants several times, but remained by Frodo's side. Bravery wasn't his only great quality. Sam, I believe, was among the most kind-hearted members of the Fellowship. While parting from Bree, the hobbits rescued a pony from its former unpleasant owner, and Sam took a great deal of care of this animal. It is clear that Frodo wouldn't have achieved his quest without help from Sam. It was the gardener who always made sure the bags were packed and that the provisions were prepared. During their travels, another talent of Sam was discovered. To his friends' amazement, he read to them some of his poetry. Sam was turning out as unpredictable as he was brave. And could it be otherwise, if even Tolkien himself considered Sam to be the main hero? During his quest, Sam carried the ring for a little while. Apart from Tom Bombadil, Sam was the only ring bearer who could surrender the ring without any internal struggle. After the destruction of the ring, both Sam and Frodo were honored by King Aragorn for their deeds. During the Fellowship's stay in Lothlorien, Sam received a special gift from Galadriel. She gave him a small box of soil. After the War of the Ring was over, Sam returned to the corrupted Shire. Using Galadriel's gift, Sam grew beautiful trees and restored his homeland. One of the trees was none other than a golden malorn. In honor for restoring the Shire, his family was given the name Gardener. Sam married Rosie Cotton, and they had 13 children. His most famous child is Eleanor the Fair. She became the handmaiden of Arwen, Queen of Gondor. At the end of the Third Age, Frodo Baggins sailed west on his white ship. Sam inherited Bag End and was entrusted with the Red Book of Westmarch. Bilbo Baggins had authored that book, and later other hobbits put more information in it. The Red Book contained the sequence of events that shaped Middle-earth. Later in life, Sam was elected mayor of the Shire. During his service, King Elisar appointed Sam as the council of the Northern Kingdom. That meant a member of the Royal Council of Arnor. Considering that he had started out as a gardener, Sam had made quite a career for himself. Sam met King Elisar on Brandywine Bridge and was awarded the Star of the Dunedain. After his wife died, Sam left Bag End. He entrusted the Red Book to his daughter, and he went to the Grey Heavens to sail across the sea and to be reunited with Frodo in the Undying Lands. And that is the story of Samwise Gamgee.
Another wonderful story.
Hey, that means I'm next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Whenever people ask, I always say Samwise is my favorite. If I had to choose one. Because I love his loyalty.
Yeah, that's a solid choice, yeah. He just feels so human, you know. But at the same time, he feels very human, and he feels sort of close to the reader. I think you really relate to him when you read.
Yeah. I think what did it for me was when Sam basically told him to go away, and Gollum was plotting against them, and Sam stayed.
Well, yeah, obviously he stayed.
I remember I was watching a video that was talking about a scrapped draft that they had for Sam and Frodo and Gollum, where Gollum actually had a moment where he was considering not betraying them, but because of how protective Sam was over Frodo, it kind of, drove Gollum to actually follow through with what he was going to do.
I think there was a moment. I think there was a moment in the canon that Gollum kind of considered going one of the two ways, and I think there was like genuinely a moment where he could have turned good. I don't remember why he didn't in the end.
Lovely. Well, if you would like to come on up, Teldyr, I can introduce you. Up next, we will be having our lovely Teldyr, and definitely last, but not least at all. And he will be reading The Unexpected Journey.
So dressed up.
Yep,
Yes.
I like this outfit. Okay, well, if everybody's ready, then I'll go ahead and start.
Absolutely,
please do.
take it away.
Alright. Our story begins in the early days of the young Bilbo Baggins. As a child, Bilbo Baggins showed a keen interest in seeking adventure. He enjoyed experiencing the stories of travelers who would pass through the Shire. One individual who captured his imagination was Gandalf the Wizard. Every Midsummer's Eve, Gandalf visited the Shire and shared tales of his travels and set off fireworks. Bilbo constantly sought out Gandalf to listen to his tales and adventures across Middle-earth. Such a thing was rare in hobbits, and Gandalf took a keen interest in this. As time went on, Gandalf kept the young Bilbo Baggins in his mind, for he saw great potential in him. Bilbo remained in the Shire for a time while Gandalf continued his travels. During Gandalf's travels, he tirelessly pondered a solution to deal with the growing threat in Mordor. Gandalf had fear of a possible alliance between Mordor and the dragon Smaug of Erebor. While thinking on what to do, Gandalf encountered Thorin Oakenshield in the town of Bree. Thorin recognized Gandalf, approached him, and requested his guidance. Thorin shared that he too had an interest in dealing with Smaug. Gandalf saw an opportunity and traveled with Thorin to the Blue Mountains to begin their plans for reclaiming Erebor. While planning, Gandalf decided that the quest required the aid of a burglar. Gandalf was then reminded of the young Bilbo Baggins and his interest in adventures. He then decided to leave for the Shire to see if Bilbo was still the same adventurous hobbit that he remembered. During Gandalf's travels, Bilbo had gained a reputation for being a bit odd by hobbit standards. Bilbo still spoke with travelers about their experiences and even left home from time to time to explore. When Gandalf reached the Shire, he found that Bilbo had gone to see the elves during the Elven New Year. This act solidified Gandalf's decision to pick Bilbo as their burglar. Gandalf then returned to the Blue Mountains and told Thorin that he had selected his burglar. Thorin refused Gandalf's choice, but Gandalf insisted that the quest for Erebor would not succeed without him. Thorin relented and approved the decision, even though he failed to see what Gandalf did in Bilbo. Thorin and Gandalf later traveled to the Shire with a company of dwarves. The 12 dwarves were Balin, Dwalin, Oin, Glowing, Beefer, Bulfer, Bombor, Kili, Fili, Nori, Dori, and Ori. Yes, I'm saying all their names because they're heroes. Gandalf arrived at Bag End first and greeted Bilbo, who initially turned him away. Bilbo was later visited by Dwalin, who invited himself in against Bilbo's will. As the night progressed, the rest of the party arrived, including Gandalf. After a night of feasting, merriment, and storytelling, the company convinced Bilbo to join them on their quest. The following morning, Bilbo overslept and found himself alone in his home. Thorin's party had begun their quest without him. Bilbo searched his home and found a note from Thorin that shared their location. Bilbo raced from his home to meet the party at the Green Dragon Tavern. From there, they set out on an unexpected journey that would change the fate of Middle-earth forever. And that concludes my story.
Very well done.
Excellent story.
The story that got me into Middle-earth.
And the story that got Bilbo into Middle-earth too.
Yes, and welcome to the chat, Kato.
Yeah, I figured that I would go ahead and try to have a story that, you know, for one, everybody knows the story of Bilbo and his journey, but unless you actually read the rest of the novels, and you're not going to know everything that led up to it.
Yeah.
I just realized I forgot to use my emote. Oh well.
That's okay. I wasn't captured by the story, so I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Oh well, better luck next time.
We have a hobbit now.
Yay! All races, right?
All of the fireworks. How many fireworks does Lumendal have?
Better question is, how many do they not have?
Alright, that concludes our meeting for today. Thank you, a big thank you for the storytellers, Astoria and Teldyr, and also a big thank you to Lumendal for the music. I think the event went really well. I had such a fun time with you guys, and also thanks for everyone who came to listen. And we will see each other in a month for the next event. So we can probably close this up, and I will disable this.